no secret that the term fascism is borderline meaningless these days. And you know, there was a time when I had said that they're pointing out these like examples of fascism. Let's say that, not just over the course of history, recent modern history, but like fairly recent history when you consider what the response was to COVID. Now, there are a lot of stupid people in this world. We know this. It's not a secret. It is, a lot of stupid people, and the internet certainly has exposed a lot of dumb people. Okay. And I've documented how the COVID response has been a further creep into fascistic, or examples of rather fascistic forms of government. And the hilarious thing is that when Biden does the same thing, right? The people who claim to be against fascists, the anti-fascists, as well as the people that would deem the orange man as a fascist, they either pass it or they don't understand what it is, so they can't identify it properly. Now, look, I have done several videos documenting the history of fascism. I did one recently. We did an entire episode of For Kennedy's Sake recently. You can go check that out. I also did a long segment, which is more educational, a 40-minute segment on like this one right here, which is one of my favorite videos that I've done. Nazis are socialists. And I go through the history of fascism there, and you guys can check that out, historic documentation. But the recent one, which I think the title of the recent video is like, I've set the communists and I go through the doctrine of fascism. A lot of people. So y'all can refer to that in the event that you get confused here in some of the things that I'm going to say, acting like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. No, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Just I know what fascism is. And fascism, unfortunately, does not mean orange guy doing thing, which is what they think that it is. They think that it's orange guy doing thing or a guy they don't like doing thing. So, and we're going to look at some of these tweets here. You saw me last night. I was going back and forth with people who were just utterly confused because what had happened, I had posted this right here. As documented by the NBC, President Biden signs executive actions on coronavirus response, including invoking Defense Protection Act to direct all federal agencies and private industry to accelerate the making of and everything that's needed to protect, test, vaccinate, and take care of our people. Okay, guys, that is literal fascism. Okay, that is a fascistic policy. Okay. That is the merging of corporate and state. Of course, nothing out of the state, everything within it. That is exactly what this DPA was. And for those of you who are confused, I would say, well, Trump did the same thing. Well, I was talking about that also fucking 9 months ago. It's almost like I've been ahead of the curve. Mentioning this same exact thing, saying, yes, it's state socialism. And in this video, for example, which we're looking at right now, which was done in April the goddamn 5th. And I was talking about how in this same fucking room, and Chuck Schumer, for example, was talking about this very thing, utilizing the Defense Protection Act to hijack factories so they can make what they want them to make, whether they be compensated or what. The idea is that the state can take over an entire industry, and as long as it's for what they want it to be for, then it's all fair game. That is what fascism is, okay? That's what fascism is. It is not orange man doing bad thing, okay? So you look at some of these tweets, like this person right here. How is making PPE for healthcare workers fascism? Laughing my fucking ass off because he and ha-has are arguments, guys. That goes to show, now we've long known this, that they had just been using that term and they had no idea what the fuck the shit meant. They've never read the doctrine of fascism. They don't even know who the fuck Mussolini is. It's a term, it has meaning. Historical precedent has been set. We don't have to redefine it. It already has been defined, spelled, laid out. But they think, hey, government does what I do, or what I want them to do. Therefore, that can't be fascism. We're doing it in the name of helping people, right? It's just to get PPE to hospital workers. It's just to get the vaccines rolled out. It's just to get this, help this person, help that person. Yeah, the people that were advocates of fascism were also doing that. Do you not understand? Right? That's because that has nothing to do with it. It's not defined by whether you want them to do it or whether you don't want them to do it. It's the merging of the corporate and company and state. That's what it is. Nothing outside of it, everything within it. That's what it is. That's what fascism is. And this is why it's been ahistorical for people to put socialism, communism on the opposite side of fascism. Number one, considering that fascism is specifically a collective. It's not an individualist philosophy, which is the only linear economic spectrum that makes sense anyway, right? Because putting it on the opposite side doesn't make sense when one's both of them are collectivists, like literally collectivists. Not me saying they're collectivists. No, that's what they said. As like, if you read the doctrine of fascism, they talk about the previous century being like for modern liberalism, talking about like the classical liberalism, how we know it. That was the time for liberalism. This is the time for collectivism. That's literally in it, right? Whereas that was for the liberalism was for the individual. Fascism is for the collective or for the government, right? That's what they said. That's literally in the doctrine of fascism by Mussolini and both Giovanni Gentile. Not my opinion, right? You can go read it. It's up free. Go watch it. Go read it online. It don't take my word for nothing, right? So what is it's a collectivist philosophy, right? That's what it was. Not my opinion. Yes, merging of corporate interest and state is a fascistic policy. And every single time, whether it be a Hitler, if you consider that fascist, Mussolini's Italy, yeah, FDR as well. I mean, you want to get really technical, talking about FDR admiring their forms of government, considering, they went to war with fascists. That doesn't, look, I done told y'all historically, socialists have always been at war with each other. That's not anything new. Happened in the Russian Civil War. It's happened time and time throughout history. Nonetheless, they have no idea what fascism is. They just thought that it was something that they could use as a term to demonize their opposition. So when it does come along in their form, it's like, well, we're trying to help other people. Hell, we can't be fascists. Like right here, we have another one that says, where is it at? Making PPE for healthcare workers is fascism. They're confused. It's like, well, we're doing it for helping the other people, right? We're going to hijack the factories. We're going to hijack private industry for the sake of helping other people. It can't be fascist. If you knew what fascism was, you'd understand that's exactly what it is. And I was calling it that 9 months ago for the same exact Korean wartime act that Chuck Schumer and company and Trump have been trying to utilize so they can basically hijack people's private industries to do what it is that they want. But because they think, well, fascism is doing bad things that I deem as bad. That's what fascism is. That's not what it is. It's never been that way. Okay? So, that being said, you know that these guys have absolutely no idea what the fuck they're talking about. They get to vote, unfortunately. They're very stupid people. They get to vote. This is why democracy is not a good thing. But see, what's most important, I mean, they're being hypocrites. We can say that all day. I've told you that they're on some Eddie Guerrero tactics. It doesn't matter how much you point out how much hypocrites that they are, because nobody cares. They don't. They would do exactly what they claim the opposition is doing. But because they got the corporate press on their side, as well as all these book dancing entertainments that entertainment elites, that have the academic elites behind them that will validate everything it is that they do. It does not matter that they're hypocrites. It does not matter that they are advocating something or wanting to do something that is antithetical to what they have been lecturing you for the last 4 years about fascism and being fearful of fascism. Because they are authoritarian in nature. Collectivist, authoritarian in nature. It's just what they do is deem what they want as helping the common man, which is very, very similar to what both Mussolini and Hitler was doing. Specifically Hitler. Right? Dictators or totalitarians or people that end up murdering their own constituents, their own people that are within their own geographical area that they rule over. Almost none of them have come about by way of saying they were going to do what they did directly, meaning that I am going to have ethnic cleansings or something like that. That's not what they did. It's always, hey, I am here to help my fellow man. I'm here to help my fellow man. I'm here to help everybody else. No. They, of course, aren't going to do that, but that's what they campaign on. And that's how those policies become digestible, because it's for you guys. I'm just trying to help you out. We have to do this just to help you out. And unfortunately, when it gets extended for a longer period of time, the body counts gets to rising, and here we are. See, this is why I said that this is not about Trump. This isn't even about Biden. The biggest division when it comes to this country, to me, as far as I see it, is from people that are control freaks. In the name of authoritarianism, humanitarian efforts, fake humanitarian efforts, they want to control virtually everything it is that you do. Your education. And they want you to subsidize all of their ideas. So your education, everything, top to bottom, education especially. They want control of it. They want you to subsidize it. So rob you via taxation to pay for it, or rob your future generations, your kids, for the sake of paying for it, right? They have no problem doing that because they are authoritarian. They're demanding. And that power is why I continue to rally against it. Is a fundamental problem that leads to more and more issues, as the guy that you fear will get the power ends up getting the power, does things that you do not want him to do, and here we are. That's why I think the biggest divide here, and why I think secessionism or decentralization has got to be the approach. The biggest divide right now to me in this country is between control freaks who want to rule over, demand people do whatever it is that they want to do. It doesn't matter what reason they want them to do, and be forced, rather. They will use this power of the state, the territorial monopoly on use of force, violence, and ultimate decision making. They will utilize that, and they want to utilize that for whatever personal ideals that they have, and they want to control you. And then the other guys just want to be left the fuck alone. That is the biggest difference between the countries, or not the country itself. Is more so what I'm referring to. So, like, when you talk about the divide, it's less Republicans, Democrats, less about that. It's more control freak versus the people that want to be left the fuck alone. But going back to the point as to be expected, and what I wanted to point out in this segment, these guys have no fucking idea what fascism is.